Today, we'll be reviewing some highlights and or lowlights from the Lucid Technology and Manufacturing Day presentation. Lucid, a very high volume vehicle manufacturer, probably have a lot to teach about manufacturing, so I'm particularly looking forward to those moments. This presentation obviously geared toward Lucid investors. Must not say anything about Lucid investors, so let's watch this through the eyes of an investor.
This trip out to Casa Grande, Arizona. For all of those who are joining on the webcast globally around the world, thank you for joining us. Before we get started, I do want to please ask that you review some important information on this slide. And without further ado, let's kick it off.
It's peak EV right now.
So I've noticed immediately, within seconds of the presentation beginning, a comparison between the Lucid Air Sapphire and the Tesla Model S Plaid. We can already see the numbers here. Presumably a quarter mile, 14.5 second time for the Lucid Sapphire versus 14.6 maybe and counting for the Model S Plaid, and 185.9 miles per hour for the Lucid Air Sapphire. Let's see if it continues to click higher. There we go. So, final result, a 14.5 second time versus Tesla at 15.2 seconds. So a round of applause to Lucid. Congratulations. Some great engineering here on a vehicle that I think is costing them roughly $400,000 to produce. Not joking, by the way. And I think this may be setting the tone for the entire presentation. My personal perception of Lucid, it appears that their strategy is take aim at Tesla, because Tesla is the market leader, and one by one, try to beat them on acceleration, at top speed, on quarter mile, on this, on that. Just saying, go tick, 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 look better than Tesla, we're better than Tesla, please buy our product, we're better than Tesla. And this will result in some excellent engineering, again with the caveat that if Tesla can produce the vehicle that's a shade slower and still ridiculously fast for maybe $60,000, $70,000, probably less than that, and it's costing Lucid roughly $400,000, it's not quite the accomplishment it may seem. Winning a pissing contest versus Tesla's great, except if Tesla's actually not actively partaking in the pissing contest and instead just simply trying to scale to 20 plus million vehicles of annual production per year, which is what they're doing. This is the key distinction. Tesla has always been going after the mass market. Lucid appear to be instead going after bragging rights. I'm not sure if that's the strategy, but hey, at least it gets people like me talking about Lucid. And you do have to give credit to the engineers. You don't accidentally produce a vehicle that can perform this well. But again, from an investor's point of view, this is a presentation for investors. I'm probably more interested in how many vehicles per year Lucid is currently producing and how quickly they're producing a shitload more versus how many fractions of a second they can shave off a quarter mile time. Most consumers buying vehicles probably less interested in 0 to 60 time, the quarter mile time, and slightly more interested in their overall experience doing the day-to-day. And I don't think there's too many people whose day-to-day involves flying at nearly 200 miles an hour. And again, I want to emphasize, this is the very first thing right out of the gates, a comparison. We're better than Tesla. Not when it comes to manufacturing, of course, but hey, they are trying. Credit where it's due. All right, skipped ahead a little bit. It was a long hype reel, some accolades, great vehicle, great sedan, one of the best sedans ever, and so on. A low-key flex of their Saudi manufacturing facility, which makes no sense. But anyway, got a Saudi sugar daddy, you do what daddy says. Bitch, let's resume.
So after that, we launched Gravity complete with Frunk at the LA Auto Show, and really, you know, it's going to propel us to the volume that we need. So it brings us on to this year, huge investments right across the piece. Really, we're putting the groundworks completing into our big factory in Saudi Arabia. This will be good for 150,000 units per annum, and we've got to sync that in readiness for late 26, ready for start of production of the mid-size platform. Now, what do we have today? We have the longest range, real-world range of electric cars that are out there. We dominate the front running. And
Still early, but I think that opening really did set the tone. Lucid engaging in a pissing contest with the entire range of electric vehicles on the market, aiming for accolades as opposed to volume manufacturing. Again, not to be a hater here, great job, but this is the first meaningful slide into the presentation. They've shown some shit like an early stage for the Saudi factory, but here's where they're coming swinging. And it's great for bragging rights, if that's all you got. There are not a lot of consumers who would say no to a stupidly over-the-top amount of range in a vehicle, how many people have a bladder that can hold out for 512 miles? But they will have to pay a price, and that is the fine line. In terms of use cases, this is not a mass market product. The vast majority of consumers don't even need close to 512 miles of range. It's great for Lucid to go, look, longest range by miles, get it, like literally, we're cool, look at us, we win. Where's our award? But this is excessive. Even 420 miles, nice by the way, a little bit excessive. I think anything even approaching 400 miles is excessive for most consumers' needs. However, one of the side effects of producing a very high performance electric vehicle, you do need a fucking gigantic battery pack. We won't get into all the details of why. So this is par for the course. If you have insane performance, you're probably going to have excessive range. But for most consumers, somewhere around that 300-ish miles of range, maybe 330, maybe 280, maybe 350, somewhere around there seems to meet most needs. So clearly, Lucid with these products not aiming to address the mass market, but they are aiming to say, look at us, we beat Tesla again.
In fact, at this moment, not only today do we have 100 miles more range than the closest competitor in that marketplace, but we actually have 100 more miles range for a car that we started producing 3 years ago. No one is within 100 miles of the car that we brought out in 2021.
So I want to talk about this. It's true. The question is, does it matter? From an investor's point of view, after all, this is an investor presentation on the investor segment of the Lucid website. And from an investor's point of view, I would ask the question, if I'm a Lucid investor, do I actually care about Lucid having produced a vehicle with an excessive amount of range that no other company has even bothered to produce? It's not that they can't. I mean, bro, if you want more range, just include more battery cells in the pack. It's not very hard. Obviously, you need efficient engineering, but bro, if Tesla wanted tomorrow, they could produce an 800-mile range Model S. It'd be a dumb fucking idea. They could do it, but it'd be a dumb fucking idea. So Lucid, again, attempting to flex here. And of course, I'm not being a hater. This is great. Lots of range. I'm sure some people, especially if you've got a chauffeur and you're going to be asleep the whole fucking time, this would be handy. Not very many people that tick that box, but hey, Lucid are framing this as, look, we're so much better. No one else has been able to produce this, where I think in reality, it's no other company has bothered to produce a vehicle that only caters to the smallest sliver of a tiny fraction of a subset of consumers out there who needs this much range. It's worth understanding the Pareto principle here. We're talking about the 80-20 rule. You want to produce a product, at least if you want to be successful as a volume vehicle manufacturer, which Lucid claims is their goal. Go back to their 2021 investor presentation. You want to produce a vehicle that caters to the 80 or so % of consumers out there and leave the 20% to someone else. Lucid appears to be going after the 20% while at the same time claiming they want to reach high volume vehicle production. Now, I understand this is their flagship product, but to me, it seems a little bit of a distraction. They seem too focused on accolades and not focused enough on just remaining solvent.
And that was, again, independently validated by Carl Connor, who achieved over 510 miles in real world at 70 miles an hour very recently. So to wrap up, we have the longest range cars, but there's something much more important than that. It's how we achieve it. We achieve the range with less. That is more important and more significant long-term for this planet than range per se in absolute terms. And
now, Peter here about to explain efficiency, miles per kilowatt hour of battery pack. And by the way, some great engineering going on here, no doubt. But the way he's framed this is we need to do this to save the environment because everything's going to be underwater tomorrow. Otherwise, something, climate alarm. It is important to have efficient vehicles, no doubt. But if you're talking about having an impact on the world, I think staying in business is probably a little bit more important, just slightly. I mean, what's the cumulative impact Lucid's vehicles have had to date when they've only literally sold a few thousand of them? If Lucid can pull this off and actually reach extremely high volume vehicle production and maintain industry-leading efficiency for their battery packs, that would be an incredible feat, one they have yet to achieve. Remember, it's costing them roughly, on paper, $400,000 last I checked, to produce their vehicles. You'd hope that they'd be the fastest, most efficient, longest range, add the most inches, you name it, across the board, the best at literally everything. You'd hope for $400,000 a pop. Now, by the way, they're not selling them for that much, which is a bit of a problem, because if you're selling something for, call it $100 or so, $1,000 and spending $400,000 to make it, probably doesn't end well.
that comes to efficiency, how we represent that. Efficiency is how far can I go with how little. And we've got a landmark, Pure here, which has achieved 5.0 miles per kilowatt hour. Yeah, that is a real landmark because that means this car will use literally less electricity to go from A to B, whatever your journey, than any other car. In miles per gallon equivalent, that's 146, which is a record out there. This is an extraordinary achievement, but we're not resting. I've announced our Vision 6 program, and many of my engineers and scientists are working assiduously. How could we get to the magic, the holy grail, 6 miles of range per kilowatt hour? Effectively, it's a 10 kilometer per kilowatt hour, and that's what I've said will anecdotally save the planet. This is what's very important.
Now, look, I don't want to be a party pooper, but we just said that's what's going to save the planet. Might be a little bit of a stretch, but just saying, again, it'd be an amazing feat of engineering, but that's what's going to save the planet? That extra 1 mile of range per kilowatt hour in a vehicle today that no one's buying because they can't afford it? Yeah, probably slightly stretching it there, Pete, but hey, still worth trying, right? I'm just not quite sure this is the thing that will save the planet, if the planet actually needs saving. I think if you wanted to frame this in terms of saving the planet, the way to, quote, save the planet might in fact be to produce as many affordable electric vehicles as you can so that consumers can afford to buy them, as opposed to internal combustion engine vehicles. That would probably be the whole, quote, save the planet path, if you believe the planet does need saving.
For us, and it's central to Lucid's existence and mission. And why is that important? Because if you look at this, you start seeing, this is for US over the last number of years, you see the white line, transportation. The dip there is from COVID, actually, which is interesting. But transportation has a huge impact upon greenhouse gas emissions right to this day. This is why this is critically important for us. So, I'll wrap up very soon. We're sitting on an unprecedented range of awards and...
Oh my God, dude. I did not plan this. I mean, I haven't watched the presentation, but this is too good, bro. I'm roasting them constantly for their focus seeming to be awards and accolades. And have a whole fucking slide dedicated to exactly that. This is amazing. Now, just to be clear, Tesla's Model S received the same shit back in 2012 and 2013, just after release. A decade later, Lucid now experiencing the same thing. The difference is Tesla's flagship Model S only existed as a stepping stone to the high volume Model 3 and Y, and then soon a subsequent generation of vehicle as well. This slide really is Lucid saying, we are now officially doing what Tesla was doing back in 2012, meaning there's still a decade of extremely hard work, near impossible challenges to overcome before we can reach a point 10 years from now where Tesla is today. And we actually have to compete with Tesla, while Tesla back in 2012 was only competing with themselves.
Accolades for Lucid Air. I think it's the most awarded new car from a new company in history. We've got incredible advocacy and recognition right across the spectrum here. And I would say, just to wrap up before we get into today's presentation proper, there are two key differentiators to us. On the one hand, we've got the great support of the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, who've been rock-solid partners throughout this. I can't speak too highly of them. And on the...
Yes, well, not much choice but to speak highly of the Saudi sugar daddy, whom you are entirely dependent on. Sugar daddy says no more money, Lucid is out of business. Saudi sugar daddy says jump, Lucid says how high? Saudi sugar daddy says build a factory in Saudi, bitch. Lucid says that doesn't make... yeah, great idea. Construction starts right now. At some point, if Lucid can scale and eventually start making money, then they will no longer be dependent. But right now, geez, poor Pete, Saudi Wealth Fund, the Public Investment Fund, literally has the guy and the company by the nuts in a vice grip.
On the other hand, I believe we have the best technology in the world. And you put that together, we have an alignment of stars which transcends a mere financial arrangement. We're mutually incentivized together for this Saudi Vision 2030, a bold vision where the kingdom's preparing its people for tomorrow's world. And we say yes to that. So, really brings us back with a bump to today. Here we are. And I just want to, before I get into the proceedings, I want to just give you 3 key messages. And if you remember nothing, if you go away...
All right, folks, get your notepads out. These are the 3 key messages from the CEO of Lucid to Lucid investors.
Shaken, not stirred with your ride in the Sapphire later on. See the factory, see more robots than you know how to wrestle with. I want to give you 3 key messages, 3 key takeaways. If you remember nothing else, these are the important things, okay? Lucid Gravity is going to be the best SUV ever. I'm going to go one back because that's the first point. I bungled the click. Best SUV ever. How and why? Because it's got revolutionary packaging. How can we do that? It's only possible via our technology. We spent so many years investing in this tech. We've got the most miniaturized.
Okay, so I hate to be that guy. I mean, I'm trying not to be too negative here, but you know, they got the best sedan ever according to all the reviewers as well. The one that they're struggling to sell, the $400,000-ish to produce vehicle that they're struggling to sell, which on paper, I mean, if you ignore the software, the interface, the OS, not great. But other than that, the performance, the range, when we saw it, right, best sedan ever. Personally, I'm going to say it. If I were a Lucid investor, because remember, this is an investor presentation, I would personally be more interested in an SUV or a compact SUV, even better. That would become the best selling SUV ever. Like, for example, let me think. I think there's this company called, what's the name again? Oh, that's right, Tesla, who currently have the world's best selling SUV. In fact, the best selling car of any kind, period, on Earth, and the Model Y. As an investor, that's what I personally would be more interested. So I've just taken this note. Best SUV ever doesn't actually mean consumers will buy it. You see, the whole cost and price thing comes into play. So too the software.
Drive units. You can see this one here, just how small this is, up to 670 horsepower. No one else is not even close. And because it's so efficient, we can do it with less batteries than anyone else. And so we've got the best tech. No one else can do an SUV like this, not even close. But there is kind of an elephant in the room, and I want to address this today because there is a misunderstanding. Some people think, oh, well, you've got the best tech because you're throwing so much money at your tech, it's unaffordable to make. I'm going to show you with independent third-party validated data, not claim from me, that tech is inherently cost-effective to manufacture, and not just that, but actually it's a cost-down driver. So,
oh no, shots fired. Peter is going to show us with third-party data that the vehicle that they're currently not manufacturing at scale will be cost-effective to manufacture at scale, says the company who today are burning billions and billions and billions of dollars a year by failing to cost-effectively manufacture vehicles at scale. Just saying. Now, of course, if Lucid have any sense, their next vehicle, an SUV, it's a larger segment, they're going to try their best to ensure they can manufacture it cost-effectively. But if their goal is to simultaneously flex and win awards and achieve accolades, biggest this, longest that, fastest that, and so on, but also produce something cost-effective to manufacture, they can't do both in equal proportions. One has to give way to the other. I think perhaps what they really mean is it's not going to be astronomically expensive to manufacture for its performance, as opposed to the Tesla approach, which is to just drive costs down as much as possible while still producing a compelling product. Very different things. And I do wish Lucid well. So those are the 3 key takeaways. I hope you wrote them down. The Lucid Gravity will be the best SUV ever. And it's only possible with Lucid's technology. And according to a third party, and obviously Lucid's own internal estimates, because they're not actually making the thing at volume yet, so they can't know for sure, it will be cost effective to manufacture. How cost effective? We don't quite know. What exactly does that mean? We don't quite know. Is it cost effective, period? Or is it cost effective relative to the incredible performance and fastest this and longest that and rah, rah, rah? Only time will tell. Skipping ahead a little bit, some shots may about to be fired at Tesla.
There's the magnets. They experience 30,000 G at 20,000 RPM. This is the fastest motor that I know of in production. That creates huge forces. Those magnets become weighing tons. And you have to hold them in and literally stop the motor exploding. This is central to performance. This is how Sapphire achieves a quarter-mile run in 8.9 seconds. It's not, everyone's obsessed with low-speed torque with the motor. I did a tech talk with Imad Dalala, Dr. Dalala there. We did a tech talk showing it's the bandwidth of performance which is critical, not just the low-speed torque. And so what we've done, and we're very delighted to have done, is we've actually got enough steel around the edge of those magnets to hold them in from these massive 30,000 G forces. It's quite extraordinary. So that's prompted the competition to try to compete. So what does the competition do? So please come on in. We have an example of a competitor rotor here, which also spins at that speed. And this is still Excuse me, it's so heavy. It's just highly magnetized. And what they've done is they've wrapped the rotor literally with carbon fiber to stop the thing exploding. And why has that been necessary? Because the electric magnetic regime isn't as advanced as ours. They've had to put the magnets right on the outside to achieve the torque. And they literally had to resort to wrapping it with carbon fiber. And we haven't got any of that expense. And even, when I'll show you...
The gall to have just said... By the way, this is the Model S plaid motor, right? Years old. But the gall to have just said, when pointing to Lucid's motor in the Sapphire, we haven't got any of that expense, referring to the wrapping in the carbon. Bro! The audacity. This is, of course, a presentation for investors, and this is the company right now who, as of the last quarter that I looked at, was selling vehicles for, call it $100,000 or so dollars, that were costing them, all things considered, close to $400,000 to produce. And he goes, we don't have that cost. Bro, come on, that is rich. Now, again, it's not to take anything away from Lucid's engineers, but bro, the audacity, Pete, come on, man. Really? By the way, from a consumer's point of view, you're not going to notice the difference, right? You will when you put your foot down, but this is the kind of stuff that an investor might care about. But the way that Peter's framed this, Tesla's electric motor is more expensive to produce than ours. Oh, shit, son. Got to get your priorities right. But then again, look, in Lucid shoes, what are you going to do? All you can do is flex on Tesla and go, look, we made a better this, and this is faster. Don't look at our financials, even though you're investors, but hey, look, we won some awards and accolades.
Our most advanced motor in the world, which is our motorsport motor. We don't do that then. So I put it to you that it isn't that Lucid is using crazy expensive materials and processes to get our advantage. I put it to you that actually the converse is true, that it's the competition going to extraordinary lengths of adding complex and very expensive processes, just trying to keep up. And remember, this...
Oh, man. I don't think Pete actually believes what he's saying here. I mean, I could be wrong, but does he really think that Tesla give a flying fuck what Lucid's doing? Tesla's currently producing around 2 million vehicles a year, has the world's best-selling vehicle, period, on the cusp of autonomy, about to unveil their dedicated robotaxi, have just brought online their gigantic AI training supercluster in Texas, are pursuing humanoid robots, are about to introduce a next-generation vehicle with the unboxed manufacturing system, the modular manufacturing system, to massively drive down costs. Everyone's begging for access to Tesla's supercharging network. I mean, Lucid themselves in this Gravity, they're saying best SUV ever. Guess what? Natively, it's going to have Tesla's NACS charging port. Does Pete really think that Tesla gives a flying fuck what Lucid's doing? Honestly, I don't think he does. But if you frame it that way and suggest that the competition is desperately trying to catch up, well, hey, what else is he going to say? If you ever wanted to know how well Lucid is doing as a company from an investor's point of view, you need only take a peek at the investor relations section of Lucid's website and then navigate to their quarterly results. This is the page by default. Text so small you need a fucking magnifying glass to see it. Announcing their production delivery numbers. You would think, given how important design and aesthetics are to Lucid motors, that the numbers for vehicles delivered and vehicles produced would be relatively large, easy to read, unless you're trying to hide them out of shame. Let's zoom in a little bit. Actually, a lot. What are we, like 400% here? Still going? It's still small? So this is Q2 production and deliveries. Lucid produced 2,110 vehicles. 2,110 vehicles. Same quarter for Tesla. Anyone want to guess? Isn't that interesting how much easier it is to see the numbers on Tesla's website? Tesla produced 410,831 vehicles. 2,110 versus 410,831. I've just done the numbers for you guys, and Tesla produced roughly, by the way, this is not a mistake, roughly 200 times, not percent, 200 times more vehicles than Lucid in the same quarter. So again, I ask the question, do you actually think Tesla gives a fuck what Lucid's doing? Bro! Not a chance. Now look, I'm not a Lucid hater, okay? I'm just here to call a spade a spade. If someone says something dumb, I'll say they said something dumb. If someone is dumb, I'll say they're dumb. If a company's fucked, I'll say they're fucked. Lucid's fucked. Wait, what did I say that? Lucid are doing some great engineering. Lots of bragging rights. And credit where it's due. The engineers are doing their absolute best and they are producing some great results. But awards and accolades are not how you massively scale production, start making a profit selling electric vehicles at scale, and remain in business. Right now, like I said, Lucid is on life support, sucking from the teat of the Saudi wealth fund. If that money were to somehow be cut off, Lucid immediately out of business. Actually, alternatively, they can try and raise money, massively dilute existing shareholders, and maybe stay in business. I think Lucid's best hope, and hope is not a strategy, but it seems all they've got, is to keep flexing and hope that a larger company on the way to bankruptcy as well, like a Volkswagen or a Toyota or whoever, decides to acquire Lucid for their technology, because look, they're flexing, look, we've got the best tech, look, most efficient, please acquire us. And then eventually that gigantic monstrosity of a company that was already headed for bankruptcy acquires Lucid on the way to try to not go bankrupt and still ends up going bankrupt anyway, and then rest in peace Lucid and the company that acquired them. It turns out that successfully starting and scaling a vehicle company, especially an electric vehicle company, while having to compete with Tesla, who've been at it for a decade plus longer than you have, is just asking to go out of business. I wish Lucid well. I hope they are successful, but I absolutely would not be betting on it. That presentation for investors seemed all too focused on awards and accolades around their products and not at all on how the fuck the company's going to massively scale production while simultaneously massively driving the cost to produce their vehicles down. Peter, your investors are not going to give a shit if you have 100 more miles of range in your flagship product than any other electric vehicle on the market if you go bankrupt, are they? In conclusion, by the way, on screen now, one of the final slides in the presentation, Lucid flexing with their Air and their forthcoming Gravity. Longest this, fastest that, most this, largest this, highest this, most awarded this, most efficient that. I personally think the best case outcome for Lucid is being acquired. Along the way, they will try to license their technology, partner, collaborate, and more power to them. But it seems at this point in time quite evident to me that Lucid isn't even trying to scale to volume production and to become a self-sustaining electric vehicle manufacturer at volume. It just does not seem to be on the cards. It seems like their goal is to flex as hard as possible and hope that a company's going to come along and either license tech out of desperation, a large legacy auto company who realize they're fucked if they don't make EVs. Oh, fuck, what do we do? We don't know how to make anything. Hey, Lucid, can you make some electric motors for us, please? Or they get acquired and ride off into the sunset. Remember, 2,110 vehicles produced last quarter. Tesla currently producing roughly 200 times more vehicles per quarter. They are definitely not paying attention to what Lucid's doing, or in this case, what they're not doing. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.